Here we are again. I am about to put on the first coat of varnish. So the first step to applying the varnish is to mask off the area that you don't want varnish on. So I usually do it in a several step process. First I'll use the typical Scotch blue tape 2090. That seems to work well on the all grip surface. However, on the teak itself, where the teak is a little rough, I actually used Scotch rough surface tape. I think it used to be called concrete tape or something, but it's now called rough surface. So that actually goes well on the teak surface. And again, I do it on several processes. I'll do a demo here because I don't want to go on the ladder in the bow because it's a little more precarious. So I'll show you here. So I'll just take the standard blue tape and I'll start maybe a quarter or so inches away from the teak, and I'll put that down. So, and since I'm going to be putting on so much varnish, I'll be putting on probably at least 8 coats of varnish. I'm going to be taping several times, so this tape will probably be here till the end. So what I'm going to do now is apply another thinner tape on top of that, and I'll make that maybe 1/8 of an inch closer. To the wood. So this will be my first coat. I'll put a few coats of varnish on, probably 3 or 4, and then I'll take the green tape off, and then I will apply another green tape probably every other coat going forward. The first few coats are going to be thinned, so they won't build up a big coat, but later on, when it's full thickness of varnish, then we will take it off more frequently. Then I'll basically have to redo the tape each time, and probably for the last coat or two I will just use the blue tape. So I'm going to kind of build a ramp, if you will, of varnish. I don't want to have it too thick and have an edge of it, so I want to have several thin coats here, take it off, move it down a little bit, a couple coats, and then take it off and use just the blue for the last coat. So I guess I could put another piece of tape and just take it off each time, but this is usually what I do. So that's it for the outside hull. The outside hull is pretty easy. And I will show you the inside on the teak deck. On the inside by the teak deck, I'm going to do this a little differently. I will use the rough surface tape like I mentioned. However, I'm probably going to remove it and apply it each time right to where I wanted, which is like 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/4 of an inch out onto the teak deck, again to seal the edge. And I will remove it totally. I'll only have one piece of tape on here, just because of the rough surface. It makes it a little bit more difficult. So and then I will embed it into the wood really, really hard, just because I want no varnish sneaking underneath the tape. And I have found that this rough surface tape is pretty good. I used to get a lot of bleed under before with using pretty much everything, including a very expensive auto body tape. But I have found that this rough surface tape works quite well in sealing the edge, providing you really flatten down the edge so nothing gets under it. So I'll be doing this each time I apply the varnish. I will take it up and put it down, but on the outside I will have several layers of tape. So that's the basics of taping the way I do it. Everyone has their own method, but I have found that this works fairly well. And one last thing I forgot to mention, what I normally do is, after I put down the rough surface tape, I will actually, for the first coat, I will actually pull it up totally, and it will actually pull up some of the loose wood that's on there. So I'll do that for the whole length. So I'll basically be wasting a whole roll of tape by putting this down there and basically pulling up any kind of the dead wood that's on there. And then I'll put it down, and that seems to really help with keeping the varnish from bleeding under.